channel. My name is Shamika and this is Check the Rhymes. I'm super excited that you're here. If this is your first time or if you just keep coming and haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you tap the subscribe button and then hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload a video, which could be at any time because I don't have anything else to do but record videos. So you don't want to miss that. But if you do happen to miss what's going on over here, you can hit me up over at my media partner, sweet929.tv. So today's guest I'm super excited about because he is part of a legendary group and he's a legend himself, Mr. CeeLo Green. He is a 5-time Grammy Award winner and he's got new music out, first time in 5 years. So we're going to chat about the new music, his new single, which is called Lead Me, which is a very inspirational song, and we're going to get into that. And then we're also going to talk about marriage boot camp and what he's been up to while being quarantined. So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Welcome, CeeLo, to Check the Rhymes. How are you today?
I'm blessed, sister. How about you?
I'm doing well. All is well. That's my mantra. All is well.
Thank you for having me.
I am super excited to chat with you because I was so hyped when I got that email that you have new music coming out and that you have a new single out. So in my intro, I was telling everybody that I feel like the single Lead Me is one that we can kind of count on as like an inspirational, soulful, almost gospel type of song. So can you talk about making that song and kind of what that process was like?
Well, I think the origins of all music is praise, but Black music especially. It all stems from something Southern, something soulful, something spiritual. You know what I mean? Something communal. And so I believe that this single has all of those qualities, and they're very timeless qualities. Some people could consider that timelessness a nostalgia or a throwback. You know what I mean? Like, it's really the cultural significance that runs concurrent with whatever trend may be happening at the moment. So this type of music, it never goes out of style. There's always a place for it. There's always a lane for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It kind of reminds me of like Sam Cooke's music. Like, you know, some of his music could still apply today. And so this song kind of reminded me of that same type of thing, like you were saying, timelessness.
Yeah, I mean, I have the pleasure of being mentioned in, you know, the conversation with those namesakes, those iconic, immortal namesakes like Sam Cooke and James Brown and Al Green. And I'm a young man. I'll just only be 45 this year. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely would not be who I am today without, you know, those inspirations. So those are like, you know, my forefathers, you know, and my mentors, you know, as far as aesthetic, you know what I mean, and what was good and what was genuine and true. So, you know what I mean, you know, it's quite an accomplishment to even get anywhere close. But, you know, my effort and my aspiration is always to be, you know, in that space of something signifying as a voice, you know.
Absolutely. And right before we jumped on this, I was being nosy in the YouTube comments on the lyric video and seeing the amount of people that were just thanking you for the song. Like, I was like, wow, like you don't realize sometimes how powerful music can be. I know that a lot of people, even on social media, we've been heavily relying on music to get us through this crisis. So,
right.
So thank you for this song.
Oh, you're welcome, and my pleasure. I think sometimes we don't necessarily realize it until in retrospect or an afterthought. But, you know, power, you know, maybe only for the individual who's yielding that power is realized in maybe that moment or a matter of seconds after. But initially, you have to assume a power. So you have to have an intent for what it is that you wish to accomplish, a desired effect. And so my desired effect is to be effective, with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's out of love, and it's simply for the reciprocation of that love. So like when it comes back the way that it has, it really incentivizes me to keep going in that direction.
Okay, well, so then we can segue into the album. CeeLo Green is dot 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 Thomas Callaway. One, I wanted to know like why the title, and then I wanted to hear all about the process of putting the album together, because I know that you recorded it in Nashville, and you kind of actually went in just going to write some stuff. It wasn't necessarily to put together an album.
That's true. The title came from a notion of me wanting to cease to be referred to as CeeLo Green professionally. I got this thing about reinvention, and every so often I kind of get this notion, inside that I kind of want to do it. I want to try something else, or quote unquote be something else, you know what I mean? But always being myself. I mean, I don't know. I think I have multiple personality disorder or something.
I think we all do.
Yes. It's not diagnosed, but I'm definitely touched with it just a bit. But so I kind of make that applicable to art, and reinvention, and that's kind of really what it was about. So I said, I'm at an age and a point in my career where, hey, it's just about being me. You know what I mean? And no frills. Just me. And sonically, this album, and sentimentally, this album kind of represented that. But it was a notion that I had on a personal note before I had even ventured out to do this, this project with him. And I just decided to carry that thought over, and then maybe kind of still serve a dual purpose. So, CeeLo Green is definitely a brand. You know what I mean? Like, so I say that Thomas Callaway writes the songs that CeeLo Green performs, and that's really the truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes another layer of persona or audacity to kind of open up wide and express yourself. You know what I mean? So it takes CeeLo Green to do that, because Thomas Callaway is, he's kind of really quiet and unplugged, and you know what I mean, and unbothered by most things. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But this CeeLo Green guy, he likes to live out loud.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting Thomas Callaway vibes right now.
We definitely are. You know what I mean? Because we've been sitting here in the country, about an hour outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I have a ranch property out here, so I'm a down home southern guy, at heart, and so we just kind of chilling and taking it all in stride.
Okay. Well, since you, I just, thought about this because I did my own kind of reinvention, because for years I was known as Mofo Chronicles because that's what my blog name was. And that's kind of what I could have on my Check the Rhymes t-shirt and walk in somewhere and somebody's going to say Mofo Chronicles. So how do you get people to realize like you are Thomas Callaway, but you're not CeeLo Green isn't always on, or you've tried to kind of not necessarily rebrand, but, kind of just separate the two?
Yeah, it's like, CeeLo Green is definitely an embellishment. You know what I mean? It extends, it definitely does extend from an actual self. So it's not a facade or a character. You know what I mean? It's just the extroversion. I mean, like, of the internal condition or dialogue, what have you. But
Okay.
how do I do it? You know what I mean? You have to almost you have to insist on some of your normalcy. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't want to be totally engulfed in celebrity and fame and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in it for that. You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten recognized for the quality and the integrity of a work. You know what I mean? And you knowing me, that's what my body of work has been about. It's been mainly about that. You know what I mean? And not just for the sole purpose of entertainment, but it is entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, but I personally feel like I've had more of a message to convey. And so I'm grounded in a certain philosophical aspect of why God had purposed my voice in such a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't just think I sing and dance for people, you know what I mean, like in on the surface level, but I do love people to where, you know what I mean, it's shameless, you know, to share it in that way, you know, but when I'm at the Sam's, Costco, you
Uh-huh.
know, or Target, or the racetrack, or the Quick Trip gas station, getting some 93. You know what I mean? Like, but people, I think people have come to identify with that approachability in me, and I get a lot of love. I get a lot of love. You know what I mean? So it's almost overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like, and I've just kind of grown to expect it at this point. I'm not complacent. You know, still careful, still watchful. You know what I mean? But it's still mindful. You
Right.
know, of the perception and the way that perception is reality. But you know, my energy and my disposition is, you know, defining as well, and you know, people who got an opportunity to meet me, they get a real feel off of me.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about, like, I think I saw I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you were on tour with Lionel Richie.
Yep.
And I was at that show when you guys were here. And so I was just curious as to what it was like touring with him.
Well, see, that's exactly what that's a living example of what I meant, you know, of being acknowledged by those great people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, that's Lionel Richie. He has wrote, you know, he's like the, as far as songwriters, he's almost like the Black Billy Joel.
Right.
You know what I mean? For those of your audience who may be familiar with Billy Joel, he's also one of my favorite lyricists and songwriters. You know what I mean? And sometimes I compartmentalize my favorites like that. Like, so Lionel is not just a performer or the former frontman of the Commodores. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he is an author. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, like, that's a real big deal to be acknowledged by him, because I consider myself to be a writer, which is how, you know, this project, you know, came about. You know, but anyway, to answer your question, yeah, like, it was wonderful to be traveling around the world with the incomparable Lionel Richie, someone who I admired, you know,
Yeah.
so long. Yeah.
So speaking of the writing, like you said, you obviously did a lot of writing for this album. What is your creative process like when you're creating, and even for the album? You know, like I mentioned earlier, that you recorded it in Nashville, and I guess, is that where you were also writing it, in
Yeah.
Nashville?
Yeah, like over a period of like 6 months, I think I spent a month total in weekly increments going back and forth to Nashville, and it was a really simple process, uh, really unassuming, and all of the music and writing kind of came about pretty organically. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Besides my knowing I was going there to write, you know what I mean? So, but there wasn't any pretension in the process, and it was cool, you know. But my way of writing is, I don't know. I guess I try to consider, you know, if I've ever said something before or addressed it. You know the way that love is, and the way that it's prompted so many songs. That, you
Right.
know, love is almost like the wishing well. Like, you know, it just never runs dry. Like, you can write a new song about love tomorrow, and it'll still work in some regard. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
someone. You know what I'm saying? So love is always a place that you can go. You know what I mean, for refuge and for a resource. Um, and you know, so I love what I do. You know what I mean? So, like, I guess I'm always there at the wishing well. You
Mhm.
know, trying to be a blessing to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, if I can. And then I have those occasions of where I want to be adventurous and write something that feels like a novel or a screenplay. You know what I mean? Or a playwright. You know, and that doesn't always fit into radio format. So I'm not always so deliberate about this. Like, I mean, I just like to write, and then if something just kind of explodes onto the page, like, wow, it's just going, like you end up sometimes, and then that's how I end up, writing books and and actual screenplays, and I try my hand at writing all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. I just know that real life doesn't actually rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, so there's always an embellishment of truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, how can I give the plain, the plain dilemma of living, the plain truth, a poetic justice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, instead of rhyming cat and hat, like, what else can I rhyme, to just take it a step further, you know what I'm saying? Because then in a professional capacity, you also want to be able to be the only one that does what you do. You know what I mean? Because this is your livelihood. So I gotta write it like nobody else could write it. You know what I mean?
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Also on this album, you did something you haven't done before, and that's recording with a live band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what prompted that decision, and will you continue to do that moving forward with your future albums?
Well, Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys was my collaborator, with this project. And apparently he had a plan unbeknownst to me. He basically kind of inadvertently got me involved emotionally, to write an album, on myself. I thought that we were just kind of writing random songs here and there for this person or that person, just for placements.
Right.
I mean, because people don't know I do that. I've written songs for a lot of people. Solange, Pussycat Dolls, Khalees, you know what I mean? I write songs. So I didn't know. I mean, so it didn't seem peculiar, you know what I'm saying? Like, or awkward, So, yeah, but the last time I was there, that last week, he said, man, I want you to come back, man. I'd love to hear how your voice sounds on these songs. And I was like, all right, I'll sing them. Yeah, why not?
So you thought you were doing like a demo?
Well, basically what you're hearing, they're all demos. You know what I'm saying? Because, well, I've got this whole legend attached to me about doing stuff in one take. I've said it before, like, because Crazy, Gnarls Barkley, it was recorded in one take because, we just didn't know. I wasn't trying to perfect it. You know what I mean? And I'm from the South. And so if I'm not careful, I'm not as clarable as I would like to be. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I have to be, especially when I'm comfortable and if I'm around people that I'm comfortable with, I try to like this and you get
the Atlanta jumps out.
So with that, I just, to sing the songs while the band is playing them, that was a different experience for me. I had never done that before. So I was kind of excited about it, kind of like, gave me that childlike kind of quality, like, wow, like this is dope. I hope somebody's filming this or what. I mean, and I could feel the potential come about. You know what I mean? Like, and it was then after the fact that I realized this is probably why he didn't want to try to say anything about it. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it organically, because it's, and I can attest to this. It's there is a better result when you're not trying. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
Even Kanye says that, because when you try hard, that's when you die hard. You know what I'm saying? So, So that was the thing. So I was looking at the lyrics that were all new to me. It's not like I memorized them. We wrote them weeks ago. I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you next month or whatever.
Right.
I'm reading the lyrics, and one eye on the paper, and one eye looking through the window and watching the band, like 1, 2, 3, so like,
Yeah.
and everybody's playing fluidly all the way down the line because they're abiding by the sheet music. You know what I'm saying? So it's a perfect track, just being spilled out. You know what I mean? Like, so it's beautiful, to watch and to be a part of. So I don't even know if I can say that I did my best, but again, when I'm not trying, that's a quality that people, it resonates with people. So
yeah, like if you hadn't have told me that, I wouldn't have even known that at all. Like I would not have known. Yeah. So you also had like a little bit of a health challenge during all this too. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm kind of having it now because it's pollen and allergy season still. No coronavirus, fortunately. But yeah, no, my allergies, they're pretty bad. And so I didn't realize that Nashville was notorious because I think it's kind of like a bowl, as they say, kind of
Oh yeah.
in a little thing, the way that New Orleans does.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that's why, Katrina was so devastating for New Orleans because of that bowl.
Right.
So Nashville is like that, and it's wooded, and the pollen just you settled in it. So I got just overwhelmed with it. And I didn't know because I didn't get the memo. I had no disclaimer that Nashville had that kind of pollen count.
Mm-hmm.
So it got me pretty good. And this was the week that I was supposed to be recording, but remember, I didn't know. So
right.
So I stayed in the room for 2 days, and then my management was like, yeah, there were people there, and needed to. So me wanting to be a professional, not waste people's time and stuff like that. I got myself together, and then that's when I got to the studio, and this whole band and everybody was there, and I was like, oh wow, that's how it happened.
Okay. Yeah. I went to college in Tennessee, and I didn't even have allergies until I got to Tennessee, and it was like, what in the world is in the air?
Okay,
so yeah, I can relate.
Exaggerating, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through. They had a whole allergy division in the hospital when I had to go. It was just totally for allergies. I was like, wow.
That's the volunteer state. So tell me about, are you still planning, I mean, I know everything is up in the air right now, but are you still planning to do your Man in the Mirror residency?
Yeah, we still have the dates allotted, and I hope we can still do it. I'm hearing, now in Georgia that they want to open back up, in the next few days, and there's a lot. It's being met with a large apprehension from people. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there are going to be some people that run on out there. You know what I mean? Like, and see what it's all about. I mean, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, everything's up in the air.
it's a little spooky, especially that one. And I call myself not necessarily being an authority, but just kind of like, I have my strong opinions about this, that, or the third pertaining to that. And I'm just like, this is a doozy. I don't know. It's like, if people go back out there, you know what I mean? Like, then let's say if anything was ever, fabricated or blown out of proportion, you know what I mean? Like, they'll be able to say worse this time. You know
exactly.
What I mean? So, but then you find yourself social distancing, and and then that's when it flips back on you. Like, okay, this is your decision. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then maybe that's just better. That's a better circumstance than having your hands, bound. You know what I mean, and being forced. So if people choose to, I can respect that. You know what I mean, like as being responsible. But then there's no real way to know when the coast is actually clear. But I don't know. I think everything will be fine. Actually, you know what I'm saying? I hope so.
Hope so. I am ready to get out of this house.
Yeah, see, the thing of it is, and a lot of people are, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, um, I'm almost kind of guarded in saying like, yo, like, I have this property out here, like, so it's like, I could walk around. It's, and I live in the country, so it's like, if this ain't social distancing, I don't know what is. I'm
Right.
saying, the attitude, from the neighbors and just the people out in this area, they're like, it's living is normal. You know what I mean? Like, there's no panic or hysteria. They don't even. It's like being on another planet almost. So like,
Wow.
I have to almost stay in tune to make sure that I have the empathy. You know what I mean? Like, for what's truly going on, and the information. You know what I mean? Because like, this could be disillusioning. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does not seem like anything is wrong out here. You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
beautiful, but it's like, it's kind of bittersweet because again, that goes back to music. It's like, I care about people. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I want peace and sunshine for everybody.
Okay. So Unsung, I had a few people, once I said on Twitter, I'm interviewing CeeLo, they were all like, oh, I have questions. So one person wanted to know kind of what you thought of the Goodie Mob Unsung episode, and if anything that you felt should have been included, if it was excluded or just not brought up.
Well, we filmed that episode about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we've had it for a while, and it just so happens that it would come, this Sunday, in a moment of where we're so in high vibration, so relative, so searched, with cell therapy,
Mm-hmm.
the single, and the way that the lyrics are really reminiscent, like, of the
Right.
reality that we're living in right now, 25 years later. So like, that's been topical on, IG and Facebook and Twitter, like, for the last month.
Mm-hmm.
So Goodie Mob has been, a beacon, you know what I'm saying, like, and a barometer in that conversation.
Yeah.
So so then for I don't know, maybe the people at TV One saw that, they were like, oh wait, Goodie Mob popping right now. We need to put out put the episode of Unsung up.
Yeah.
So anyway, in terms of timing, it was impeccable.
Right.
Like, in terms of the finished product, I also thought that it was really well done. I thought that, yeah, of course there's editing, and there was probably a lot more said.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely said some other things, to be more revealing and transparent. But at the end of the day, I think people got the point. You know what I mean? Because everybody, is getting along amicably, and agreeably and going forward. I mean, like, we were celebrating 25 years of Goodie Mob. You know what I mean? Like, this is our anniversary as well,
Mm-hmm.
and we're recording a new album at the moment. So, so the love is real, the forgiveness is real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And we're family, and family go through stuff. And I mean, like, we go through stuff as professionals,
Right.
brothers, as men. So like, we don't always see eye to eye. Anybody who think that, I mean, like, if things had ever been too perfect, I think that that's just would just be a lie. You know what I'm saying? And there's no reason to lie. You know what I mean? Like, because humanity is what connects people. It's what signifies music in the realest way. You know what I mean? Like, and especially now with the all access of social media, there once was a time where people kind of like, they were more drawn to the mystique of something that they didn't know or understand.
Right.
But people were like, yo, show me what you got. I want to know it all. I mean, like, I want to know you real before I spend $1 on it. You know what I'm saying? I need to know what you're talking about, who you are. I want to see your character or person. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what you eat, what you like, what you're driving, I want to know your story, how you came up, so I can make sure. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it is now.
Yeah.
So in that climate, in the way that the game has changed, I'm just glad to be real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed the episode. I had to keep rewinding because I'd be like, oh, wait, that's my song. And then I'm dancing. I'm like, oh, wait, I missed what they were saying. Go back and watch it. So it took me a minute to get through the episode because I was like so drawn. Like it just like music. It takes you back into like memories of, whether it was when I was in college or high school or whatever. Like you start to remember those things and go down memory lane. So yeah, I totally enjoyed the episode. I think it was well done. And
did they want to know anything else?
I've got coming up next.
Did they want to know anything else?
Well, of course, I had a couple people. A couple people, meaning my sister, wanted to know about your time on Marriage Boot Camp. She wanted to know, like, if what, number one, what prompted you to do Marriage Boot Camp, and two, like if anything that you learned in the house, if you're still applying that now.
Oh, definitely. Well, how we did it was we were invited, to be a part of this season's cast, and initially, I mean, maybe like the first 4 or 5 times, I was like, no, I don't think so. But they were really adamant about us being involved, and they made that pretty apparent in more ways than one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So with that being said, it was also very timely and it felt very fateful. You know what I mean? Because I don't really think, as a matter of fact, I know that people didn't necessarily know that I had been in a long-lived relationship, either. I've been with somebody 8 years, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Who's a wonderful person, somebody who deserves to see the light of day. So, like, you know what I mean? It really was, I really wanted to, show off this beautiful woman that I had loved, you know what I mean, like, for so long. But there's also, we were also actually at a point where this could be pivotal for us on a personal level because, we needed the maintenance. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a road stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, let's gas up, check the transmission oil, check the fluids. You know what I mean? Like, go get out, stretch. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like, everything needs maintenance, and some things need mediation. You know what I mean? Like, even like, pulling over and letting the mechanic fix your car. I don't know how to change a transmission. You know what I mean? So I need to have that mediated. You know what I mean? So certain things you don't know what to do for yourself. And then, and I make that example to try to make it tangible for people. Mm-hmm. But also, I looked at the show for what it was, and I thought that it was decent. You know what I mean? Like, and integrable. I thought that it was real. Like, but not a reality show. You know what I mean? Now, I do know that some of the dramatizations and sensationalization, that's even the word, that goes into some of the other formats, people borrow from that because it's a commodity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's character, it's conflict, it's controversy, it's drama. You know what I mean? Like, so this stuff is perpetuated because that's what the audience wants. You know what I mean? Like, you can only, serve, a show, you know what I mean? Like, by way of the demand on something and the viewership on something. So, it's contingent upon what the consumer wants. You know what I mean? Like, so people think that these television shows are immoral or something like that. But it's like, no, you might need to, check yourself in the mirror because, like, they basically just trying to supply and demand and give you what you want. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? And then so at some point, it's the pot calling the kettle black because you're just trying to perpetuate, the quality of television, whether that bar be low or what have you, that people want to tune into. So I thought that there was a way that we could get that mediation that I was talking about. Right. And I also thought that there was a way that we could dignify the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, with some real talk, you know what I mean? Like, and with some real results. You know what I mean? So that's why we decided to do it as a union. You know what I mean? Because I definitely wouldn't put her in harm's way, just for the sake of it. Because again, I told you I don't really feel like I'm just here to entertain in that kind of way. You know what I mean? But I thought that it was a blessing because they could not have called at a better time because we were really, we could have used, some of those tangibilities that we took away from it in that time in our personal lives. And people would not have known that, but we knew it. And I thought that it was a divine intervention almost. You know what I'm saying? And then when we got there, it's like the cast was cool. I knew Styles already. Jocelyn, so we're all cool. I didn't really, and so that made us comfortable. And I was like, all right, and to do the drills, it's like, what better way to be a blessing to people, so besides them actually seeing the work and seeing the progress.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what was good to me. And again, it's about us on a personal level, but it's also about people. So that's why we call ourselves trying to not only, voice our own, concerns, but also show our qualities as human beings, and, drop some jewels here and there, drop enough of them where they couldn't all be edited out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if we did anything intentionally, we did that together. Like, yo, man, we gonna go shine. We're gonna go be refined and shine at the same time.
I like that because you never know who's watching that will learn something from the gems that you've dropped, or or even if they recognize something in themselves from hearing your story.
Yep.
Yeah. So I only have a couple more questions. Here on Check the Rhymes, I'm all about affirmations. And of course, with everybody being in the house right now and during this crisis, a lot of people are relying on affirmations. So my question to you is, what are you telling yourself every day so that you can keep, just get that motivates you, get you out of the bed, keeps you pushing?
We've established an etiquette, what I'm saying, and an attitude, of getting up each day, doing the diligence, starting with a prayer and meditation, being thankful and grateful, for the day. I mean, and people should always acknowledge the day. You know what I mean? Because the day is alive. You know what I mean? Which is how you are able to breathe the breath of life inside of you in order to keep you alive. You know what I mean? So acknowledge the day, and as that day, acknowledges you and your appreciation for it. You know what I'm saying? That day will serve you better. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's even a bar right there. People don't look at it from that perspective so often. So, that's how we see it. And having a regimen, it's also, I think, about trying to apply a professional approach to your personal life. You know what I mean? Giving yourself some scheduling. You know what I mean? Giving yourself an itinerary throughout the day. Okay, yes. We have meditation time. We have lunch. You know what I'm saying? Exercise. Downtime to sit. Laugh and joke or whatever we're doing. While Shawnee is maybe preparing dinner. We then we go into an activity time. We pulling out. We going old school. Either somebody may go into another room and read a book, because sometimes you got to have me time too.
Very true.
And quiet time. You know what I mean? Whether it's a book, whether it's to mess with your phone, or whether it's us sitting around playing Uno, putting together puzzles, things that we haven't done in years. I mean, Uno. I mean, they even got new cards in Uno where you can just make your own rule. I'm like, when they do this?
Well, Black people make their own rules anyway with Uno. So.
Hey, I want you to draw 20 and go get me a glass of Kool-Aid.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So then television, we're all movie buffs. So we'll go and just chill out and watch. We've been binging Breaking Bad again. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that, but
I just started it. I don't know how I missed out on the big craze. So I'm on episode 4.
good. It's good. You're gonna love it. It's great. This is maybe like our third time watching it, but that's it. And then also, you know, I coined the phrase, use your mortality as your motivation. You know, just as you appreciate that day, just know that every day isn't promised. You know what I mean? Like, so any day that's given to you, it's a gift. You know what I mean? Like, how do you receive that gift? You know what I mean? Like, how do you define it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, how do you give it back? You know what I mean? How do you reciprocate? You know what I mean? You know, and it's just about going back to those simple times of just like, man, what's really worth it? I mean, what's important? You know what I mean? Like, to you. You know what I mean? Right. What would you be doing if you had the freedom to do? You know what I mean? Like, you know, are you saving money or not? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, you ain't spending it. You know what I mean? Like, chill out. You know,
right. Like, unless you're like me online looking at furniture that you don't need.
Because this property, we don't really live in this property. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that needed to be, like, you know, it's actually under renovations because we use it more so as a rental property and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's like, I'm not to be too heavy on it, but like, it's like, you know, just a kind thought, a compassionate, you know, thought, considerate, just, you know, like, you know, feeling for those who are less fortunate. You first have to kind of like, you know, that's a determining factor about, you know, where you stand. So it's like, you know, like you do realize that somebody's actually sick out there. You know what I mean? Like, you Absolutely. Do realize some families have actually lost people. We lost people throughout this due to unrelated health issues, but Shawnee lost her father and her uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like, days apart. So this was real for us. So we had to get closer together. And at one point, I thought that she would have been quarantined and isolated to San Francisco, where she's from. You know what I'm saying? Like, but she was with family, and that was, you know, reassuring for me. You know what I'm saying? But it was still bittersweet because everything was starting to happen all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Right. So for the first week or so, she wasn't here, and she was able to get here. But so yeah, you know what I mean? So we got close and, you know, try to love on each other. And, you know, I can say that this has been like a healthy distraction. You know what I mean? Like, from some of the other things that are irreversible. You know what I mean? Like, this is temporary and it will pass. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just like Ebola and the swine flu. I don't know why they're acting like this is gonna be going on for the rest of our lives. It's not true. You know what I mean? Like, and I really just my intelligence is insulted by some of the information that's out there. I'm just like, I just wish I don't know why. Like, I don't know why they got to flip it on black people and make it seem like we the cause of it. I'm like,
right. Yeah, so for my last question, tell everybody when they can get the album, how they can pre-order it.
All right. Well, they can get the album right now. They get the single right now, Lead Me, and then the album, I guess you can pre-order now as well too. I mean, like, on just about every platform there is. Deezer, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, everywhere.
Okay. When does that officially come out?
In June, right? Yeah.
June. Okay. Awesome. Well, cannot wait. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I enjoyed talking to you here on Check the Rhymes.
That's right. You're supposed to stop me from talking politically. We ain't talking politically. No mess now. All right.
Thank you so much. And I'll definitely be checking the album out, and we will make sure we're following you on all social media platforms. And thank you for joining me on Check the Rhymes.
Check the Rhyme. All right.